Without necessarily naming any names, I'm curious about some of the different ways in which game developers handle voice acting and voice actors. Do you have any sort of just stories or examples of how one game developer might totally handle you and the part differently than another?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of across the board from we're not going to tell you anything to literally not even knowing the name of the game to to where Camposanto was really happy to have me be involved with it and talking to press and doing all of that. It's totally different across the board. I've literally done sessions where I don't know what it is I'm going in for.
Wow.
I do the thing, and I don't know that I'm in the thing until the thing is out. And people on Twitter are like, hey, are you in blickety blah? And I'm like, nah, man. And then they send me a clip. Sounds like you. And I'm like, yeah, wow, yep, that's me. Sometimes I'll get a script ahead of time. It's rare. A lot of times I'm starting to see now where there's a little more collaborative effort between the devs and the actors of working on Darksiders 3 has been such a joy because they've been super open to my feedback.
Yeah.
They had it's silly, but they had she said, I don't want to blah, 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 or I don't think yada, yada. And I was like, this is not a woman who uses contractions. It sounds silly, but she wants everybody to listen to every single word she says. She does not contract words,
right.
And they've been super cool about just little things like that, and giving me a full breakdown of what's happening and actually knowing the name of the game. So that's good.
I cannot fathom the idea of not even knowing. Like, how does that benefit them? Because you can't prepare.
Well, I think I see both sides of it truly because there are some actors, not a lot, but enough to spoil it for the rest of us who just want those Twitter followers. And they'll post things online and they'll leak scripts. I heard a story the other day of a guy in a session doing a Facebook Live recording, putting it on Facebook as it was happening. And I'm like, you're never going to work again. What are you thinking?
Yeah, that seems like a bad idea, a little short-sighted.
Yeah, so, there have unfortunately been a few people that have leaked scripts and that hurts the dev. I get that.
Man, I would just think you just don't hire those people anymore
again.
And then bring in and give the pre-briefing to the people you do trust. But
yeah.
What do I know? I don't know.
I mean, we sign NDAs, but I don't know.
Huh. What does a typical workday look like for you? Because, I think there was, I'm thinking of this forever ago, and I'm probably misrepresenting it somehow. I remember seeing some video on YouTube an eternity ago of that Don LaFontaine, the classic movie voiceover guy.
Yeah.
How he'd kind of get up, they'd pick him up in a limo, take him to the gig, and he'd do the trailer, and then that was so that's this glorified, fancy version of it. But
he's like the Brad Pitt of voiceovers, right? Maybe Brad Pitt's a little dated at this time, anyway. No, I do not have a limo that drives me from job to job. I mean, it's wake up, see what auditions are sitting in my inbox. Crank them out if I need to, or get to a session if I need to. I mean, honestly, some days I'll have 10 sessions. Some weeks I'll have 10 sessions.
Yeah.
Some weeks I'll have 2. It's figuring out how to manage the time that's not booked and not drive yourself crazy.
And so I know you mentioned your recording thing that you bring with you. Do you have a studio at home?
Yes, absolutely.
So that was a big investment, a worthwhile investment, no doubt, in your line of work.
Yeah, I do about 80% of my auditions from home. And probably 20% of my jobs from home.
Okay.
I love to go to a studio if I can, because then all the technical problems are someone else's job. Yeah, so I have a home studio. I also rent an office space with a couple of other people that has ISDN, which is kind of phasing out, but still some clients really, really want it. And I have a portable setup that I take everywhere.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is it easier? Do you find that it's easier to get away from home, just to then you're completely removed from any other distractions, anything that might be you might even be thinking about at home,
from that pile that's been sitting there for ages.
Like the laundry pile or
really
whatever,
do
right?
Something about that. Yeah, it is nice to get away, which is why I try to do jobs away from home. I try to go into my agents to audition when I can. Yeah, for sure.
What was I going to ask? Oh, so one of the things, I think this fits into something you were talking about earlier, it's just looking over your resume. You're credited as voicing the local population in Grand Theft Auto 5. What does that even mean? I think I have an idea, but I figured I'd best ask you.
Tell me your idea.
Well, my suspicion is that means you're just one of the pedestrians. They call everybody that voices a pedestrian part of the local population, but
yes.
I'm curious what that actually means.
More specifically, I'm a prostitute. You can light on fire, throw out a window, and steal my car.
Oh, all right.
So, yeah. Go GTA 5.
And did you know that that was the role? Is that one of those games where you... Because that's one where I figure the secrecy is so intense they don't even tell you it's Grand Theft.
No, it was under a fake name. That was one of the ones where it came out and I didn't even know I was in it. Someone on Twitter was like, "I just saw your prostitute in GTA 5," and I was like, "What? Okay, yeah."
So you get in there and you just have prostitute-related dialogue,
pretty much,
and you just knock out the dialogue and hope for the best, I guess, or how does that work?
Death by fire, death by thrown out a window, getting pissed at someone for stealing your car. Yeah.
Do you apply? Do you bring an accent to that? Do you do like what? How do you like? I guess I don't want to like make light of that role specifically, but how? In a situation like that, where they don't tell you what the game is, and it's just here are the lines of dialogue, do they tell you exactly how they want it, or do you have freedom to sort of try to make something out of it? Or
it depends. If I remember correctly, that one they were like, "Listen, this is in XYZ city, no accent. This is the person that you are." Like, it's basically a fly-by-night thing. So.
Yeah.
You don't spend a ton of time on the character creation of said prostitute, but but sometimes, in Shadow of War, it was a very specific British accent that they had me do. So, you make sure you got the accent down and you knock it out and hope it doesn't suck.
So is it fans that will alert you to these things?
Yes.
Not even your manager?
We don't know, because it's all under... Well, I think now they have to tell the agents what the proper title is.
Okay.
But yeah, back then, nobody knew.
Wow.
As far as you're going in for Firestorm, and
right.
It's a completely different game.
Are you even allowed to say what was do you remember what the Grand Theft Auto 5 fake code name thing was?
It's probably like Bookshelf, or something crazy. You get the weirdest, the craziest fake names in there. It's like Camera Light. Okay. You have no idea.
Yeah, I love that about your job. It's just this. If you explained your job without context to someone in some other industry, it could sort of sound like spy work.
Totally.
Right?
Totally. Or it's like I'm just like this marionette, just waiting for someone to pick up the strings and make me dance.
Let's see here. What did I want to ask you? You talked a little bit about this, but when you do have a script to work with, sort of what's your process? Do you try to memorize the script or need to memorize the script? Or
unless it's performance capture, no, I don't. Because it will often change on the fly. Or, by the time I get to the session, the script has changed from what they've sent me.
Okay.
So you can't be too tied to the way that it's written before you're actually recording it. But what I'll do is, try to understand who this person is, what's the situation that they're in, who are they talking to, what is this a battlefield, are we screaming at each other, are we fighting, or is this a more intimate one-on-one, casual or romantic, or trying to understand the beats and what's happening, because a lot of times we don't have the context of where we are, what's going on in this scene, and that makes all the difference. It's one of the things I love so much about Firewatch was getting to record with my scene partner.
We'll get to that. No, but that brings me perfectly to this. So do you ask for storyboards or gameplay B-roll or concept art to sort of try and see and?
No. Sometimes we'll get concept art. I think I had this picture of Katya on the audition.
Yeah.
But that's a luxury. We don't really get much to go on.
So you really, in your line of work, you have to I mean, it is almost the ultimate creativity. You have no visuals, very little even words. It's
all
just
in the noodle, man.
It's all between your ears, which I think is awesome. Like
it's fun.
Not a lot of jobs, I imagine. I mean, yeah, jobs run the gamut from, you're going to do this one specific task all day, every day, to like you're at the other end of the spectrum. Like it's almost entirely like the words may be written for you, but that's like it.
You know what though? I love it. I love the ability to have creativity with it, because that's the great thing about actors is that everybody will bring a different spin on what's happening. And if my spin is the one that happens to book the job, let's have some fun. I want to make sure that the people that are on the other side of the glass are seeing their characters come to life. Because it's solitary for all of us to write a script and have it in black and white on a piece of paper and then to audition it by myself and blah, blah, blah. But to be together and to have that, like, just that spark of creativity between all of us flying around the room where, we're all creating and it's all coming to life. God, it's so much fun. It's the greatest.
Are there roles that you didn't get that you heard them later by whoever got them and you're like, I could have done that so much better?
Maybe, but we're not going to talk about those, Ryan.
That's fair. I'm just like, just as a professional pride, I've got to figure that happens from time to time.
It does, but I mean, the thing is, like, auditioning is such a vacuum, right? So let's say I'm in my home studio, I'm at home, I got my door closed and my headphones on, and I just see the script on my computer, and I've got to figure out a way to make it come to life. So do 2,000 other people, right? If the casting director is eating a bad sandwich when they listen to my audition, I might not get the role, right? It's the on-camera equivalent of like wearing the wrong shirt, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening to them when they're listening to my audition. So all I can hope is that some of the spaghetti that I'm throwing on the wall starts to stick. And if it doesn't stick that time, it'll stick for somebody else, and good for them for getting that role, because there's enough to go around.
And I got to figure there's to be, I guess, nicer about it. There's probably other times too where you might have auditioned for something and then you hear the final person that's not you and you go like, oh man, they were amazing.
Oh yeah, that happens too. That happens too, definitely. And the great thing about the voiceover community is that it's really an incredible group of people. So oftentimes, if it's not me that books it, it's a friend of mine, and we'll go out and celebrate together.
Yeah.
It's just the greatest group of people. I'm so lucky to work with these people.
Is it mostly a LA community, or is it sort of spread out, or?
I have an incredible community here in San Francisco. We've got a great community in LA. I just got back from London, where there's another amazing group of people. I think it's just something inherent in voice actors. We're all just awesome.
You touched on this a little bit, like with the people just tweeting you and sending you things you didn't even know that you were in, but are there like uncredited or super low-key roles that you've done where if you tell me right now and a bunch of people will be like, oh yeah?
Well, I think Shadow of War didn't make it up on my IMDb. I just haven't done anything about that yet. Just like background chatter. What else would be interesting? I don't even know. I think honestly people would be more surprised to hear the commercials that I've done and be like, holy shit, that's Delilah.
Well, you talked about those being like the bread and butter. Like, what are some of those campaigns that we have heard you in and may not have realized it?
So in LA and in various parts of the country, I do a grocery store every week. In LA, it's Ralph's.
Yeah.
I do Kroger in the Midwest. I do Fry's in Arizona.
Yep.
Every now and then I'll do Fred Meyer in the Pacific Northwest. I've been doing those for 6 years every week.
It's awesome.
And it's like, stop by Ralph's this week for broccoli, only $2.99 a bunch or whatever. There's a Marriott commercial running right now that's like, it's super like, what if mankind was really kind? And it's like totally like intimate. I don't know. It's just all those crazy things. I also do a ton of celebrity sound-alikes for trailers. So I do all of Charlize Theron's sound-alike work when she's not available. Mm-hmm. Who else do I do? Emma Thompson and Penelope Cruz and Rebel Wilson, and anytime they have they have to change a line in a movie to make it fit the trailer, and they don't want to pay the celebrity fees to have them come in and record the line. They'll call me.
Wow. So wait,
great.
you end up in the trailer or the film?
Sometimes the film, but most often just the trailer.
Interesting. I never
Yeah.
even realized that.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
so cool.
It's good business. If
What
you
a
can get
great,
into it.
yeah, what a, that just like, you can make a YouTube playlist of all kinds of awesome
you
Cissy
can.
Jones stuff.
Yeah, it's fun.
That's
It's really
great.
fun.